What is up, everybody? Ninja Nick here with Tactical Gaming, bringing you guys another Hasan video. This is more Pegasus, making a banger like always. This one is titled Hasan has completely effing lost it. And I mean, if he says some of the things that I think he says, then not surprising. Dude has been slowly but surely losing it more and more every single day, especially now that we have news media and actual sitting congressmen calling for his removal from the country. But before we fully get into this, make sure you guys go check out w.gg and use my code TacticalGamer90 for 10% off. Link and all that will be in the comment section down below. It'll be the pinned comment. Now let's get into this and see what kind of stupid shit Hasan has said this time.
Welcome back to a series so goated, even SpongeBob subscribed. In today's video, Hasan is back and has done an interview with the New York Times. He's now openly supporting stealing from grocery stores because it's ran by rich people and corporations.
Ran by
Ironic.
rich people,
He
but
claims
poor
he
people
would
work
steal
there.
cars if he could and steal from the Louvre Museum in Paris. He's also encouraging people to rob banks and commit cool crimes. Asman has responded, pointing
So
out
dumb.
the insanely regarded take and how he's actually undermining food banks with his broken logic. He says Hasan has never experienced being poor, and that's why he has these out-of-touch takes. He claims you need to punish criminals more harshly to create a high-trust society. Hasan is once again playing defense for assassinations and murder. Asman has responded to Hasan blaming him for ruining the streaming community. Hasan continues his crash out over the Pragmata situation, saying gamers have lonely, depressed lives, unlike him, of course.
How can I be okay? Max, hey!
Subscribe or you start watching Hasan and become a criminal. You're gonna get locked up with Diddy Pica. You're cocked.
Let's up those numbers!
Now let's begin. Right, so Hasan is back and he has done a new interview with the New York Times. And he's apparently encouraging his fan base to commit crimes. Now, this time it's not to murder capitalists or to block streets and prevent babies from reaching the hospital, but rather to commit theft. Just steal, apparently. Just commit robbery because it's okay, according to Hasan. So here we have the interview. The rich don't play by the rules, so why should I? Why petty theft might be the new political protest. Interesting. So justifying stealing, essentially. Hasan on if he supports stealing from Whole Foods in his discussion with the New York Times. I'm pro-stealing. Full chaos. Let's go.
Would you steal from Whole Foods?
You want to go first? Well,
right, guys.
I'm pro stealing from big corporations because they steal quite a bit more from
they can afford it. The poor people who have to buy it
one
can't.
Thing that might even help your ethical dilemma is the fact that the automated process that they design, these companies know will increase shrink, right? So it's actually factored in. The lemons that you stole are factored into the bottom line of these mega corporations regardless, and they still end up having increased profit margins because they no longer have to pay the cashiers that they used to hire, as opposed to this automated system, knowing full well that people are still going to be able to still steal a lot more efficiently, as a matter of fact, through the automated process.
Right. So apparently it doesn't matter if you steal because corporations are rich, and I guess applying his logic to himself, Hasan Piker is a multi-millionaire. So by that,
yeah, the problem with that is, yes, they are multi-million/billion-dollar companies, and they can afford it. But the people shopping at those locations cannot. And if those locations are not a positive income stream for said company, they will shut it down. So that's a loss of jobs. So it's the poor people who suffer from theft. We lose jobs and we lose access to groceries due to theft.
logic, people could steal something from him since he'll be okay, right? He has enough to live, he makes it from his stream, so it's such a stupid argument because it can be applied to him as well. And I really appreciate him going full mask off, right? That he's pro stealing. He didn't even dance around it or anything. He's basically just encouraging his fan base to steal. And let me just explain this. Just because it's a big corporation doesn't change the equation at all. Stealing is wrong. It's a crime. If there is a law and you break it because you feel like it, or you feel that, oh, this one doesn't apply to me because, oh, these people are richer than me, then that's a slippery slope, right? Because if you don't punish bad actors, you essentially end up with a society full of criminals. And it's no wonder why some parts of America are falling apart, because they don't seem to punish criminals, right? And I feel like this whole thing is insane to me because I live in Singapore, right? And you know what happens if you steal in Singapore? You get jail. You get locked up, all right, as you should, because you're taking from somebody else without paying and you're breaking the law. And you can't do that, right? And when you actually punish people for committing crimes, turns out nobody steals, right? Because they're terrified to steal. They're terrified of the consequences, right? And that's how you get like a high trust society. Crazy how this is a controversial position, saying that stealing is wrong. Among like the Hasan Piker fans at least. And basically the counter argument to this is according to Hasan, is basically like, oh yeah, it's only the starving homeless people that are stealing, right?
No,
they're just doing it for basic necessity. Meanwhile, they're stealing fucking TVs and perfumes and expensive like iPhones and shit, right? If you allow one person to steal, there's gonna be 10 more scumbags who take advantage of that and try to make a quick buck, right? So even the interviewer points out that it's a slippery slope, right? Because they'll probably be forced to raise the prices in order to compensate for the stealing.
Totally. Well, I was looking things up, and shrinkage is roughly equal internally as externally. Like they expect it from their employees that they are sort of disenfranchising.
So shrink is an overall measurement system. Okay, so shrink is also used for stuff that goes bad. So, merchandise that arrives, moldy, damaged to the point to where you can't sell it, and or so damaged to the point to where now they have to like either half it or make it to the point to where you only charge a quarter of the price. That is how shrink works. Now, shrink also includes anything that is also stolen or damaged to the point to where, it can't be sold whatsoever. So now it is deemed an unsellable item. That can happen with stuff that's trying to be stolen that gets torn up or gets nasty or whatever. But yeah, shrink is bad.
Constantly.
Yeah.
But what about the argument that if everyone just starts stealing wantonly from these self-checkout machines, Whole Foods will eventually raise the prices?
Yeah, chaos, full chaos. Let's go. I mean, look, I'm in favor of fast.
Of course you are. You're in favor for that because you don't have to worry about higher prices like every other normal person does.
Some free buses and also government-owned storefronts. And, two of those policies the mayor of this beautiful city is currently working on.
Would you encourage stealing in the same way from a Mamdani-run city-owned grocery store with
No.
lower prices? And why?
I would not, because I feel like that's taxpayer funded, and the prices are this union labor, and the prices are also adjusted regardless.
Right, of course.
Do you know how many union workers work for like grocery stores? You're a fucking idiot.
So steal from the people that I don't like, but not from the people I like, of course, right? It's insane how he's admitting all of this openly,
Right.
encouraging his fan base to commit crimes and rob stores, because apparently by robbing these capitalist corporations, you somehow bring about communism. Hasan Piker logic. Just steal from stores, and if you keep stealing, eventually you'll destroy capitalism and you'll bankrupt them somehow. And then there'll have to be a new system. Hasan Piker will come in. He'll install communism, like a new update, new patch update, and you'll automatically get free healthcare, cheap groceries, and free buses. Of course, it makes complete sense. Pure responded, he encourages theft because he doesn't have to deal with the consequences, and even benefits from the chaos by making content about the consequences allowances and using them as a springboard to promote communism.
Right.
Promotes theft,
Yep.
system breaks, complains it's broken, promotes a commie to fix it. Cheng's nephew is the type of person to complain about high-trust societies, argue for their downfall, and then complain about the lack of high-trust societies. He should
Yep,
really stop
yep.
talking about things he has zero experience of. Really, it's like a cow telling a cat how to be a carnivore. To stop and stay in your super rich privileged lane. Biggest freaking regard of all time. He is really becoming
Yes.
contender. Really strange panel here. Hasan got rich from his granddad, doubling rent on small family-owned businesses, forcing them to go under. Yeah,
Yep.
we'll never forget the 30 houses, bruh. God damn.
And then
Yeah.
in 2 years, we bought and sold 30 houses. 30 houses.
Yeah, I forget that it was 30. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
I
lot.
forget it was 30.
Now,
It was a
apparently,
lot.
he didn't stop
Look
there.
at rich
Now
people.
he goes on to say that he himself would steal a car if he could, and he would have even encouraged stealing from the Louvre, right? Which, if you don't know, is a world-famous museum in Paris with the Mona Lisa. The New York Times platformed Hasan Piker under the Opinions podcast to promote theft as a form of protest. I'm pro-piracy. Would you pirate a car? Yes. Says he would steal from the Louvre if he could. We need to get back to cool crimes.
Yeah, no, I'm pro piracy all the way, like across the board. Would you pirate a car? Yes. You know, if you could, if one could pirate
a car?
it was just a classic thing back in the day. Where they'd be like, the government funded anti-piracy initiatives would be like, dude, would you steal a car? I'm like, yeah, sure. If I could get away with it, if it was as easy as pirating IP, I would do it. Yeah.
Would you dine and dash from your local diner?
Never. Never. Tip 35%. Mike's, come on.
No, I wouldn't do that. And if I saw somebody doing that, I'd probably pay for their meal.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
Would you steal a book from the library?
Know
The
your
fuck?
options for home. Never.
No.
Would you steal
This is
from the
dumb.
Louvre?
Yes.
I would not be logistically capable of executing such a fact, but would I cheer on every news story of people that I
What the
see doing
fuck?
it? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I
These people are fucking, like, just insane. Like, they're justifying crimes because, like, oh, hey, it's like Robin Hood, stealing from the rich. Yeah, but they're not going to be giving to the poor. Like, these people are just crazy people.
think is cool. We gotta
think
get
it's
back to
cool.
cool crimes like that. Like,
What?
bank robberies, right? Stealing
Who remembers the bank robbery of Los Angeles in the 90s where, like, police officers were ill prepared, did not have body armor. They mostly all had wheel guns, still to this time. And the bank robbers had body armor, they had steel protective headgear, they had fully automatic weapons. They were armed to the teeth. This motherfucker is talking about, like, cool bank robberies, we need those back. Oh, you want some innocent person with a gun in their face, Hasan? Is that what you're saying? Some innocent bank teller? Some innocent people inside of a bank having guns pointed at their face? Really? Cool crimes, huh?
stealing priceless artifacts, things of that nature. I feel like that's way cooler than the 7,000th new cryptocurrency scheme that people are engaging in.
Yeah, so we gotta get back to cool crimes, says Hasan. How does this fucking tool have a fan base? He's admitting it. He's admitting that he would commit crimes. He's telling its fans that it's
kind of
okay
insane.
and it's morally justified somehow. Oh yeah, I would totally steal a car if it was easy. Oh yeah, we need to steal priceless artifacts and completely ignore that you're destroying historically significant art and culture, right? Stealing from the Louvre, for example, stealing the Mona Lisa. Like, that's obviously more than just sticking it to the capitalists, right? Not to mention this colossal regard just said, oh yeah, you should go rob banks as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna say unbelievable, but this is actually very believable from Mr. Murder here. Remember, guys, he's on the morally right side. Committing crimes, breaking the law, having a complete chaos society full of a bunch of criminals. If everyone followed Hasan's advice, we'd be living in complete chaos. Everybody would be stealing from each other. There would be no safety, no private property, which is kind of what he's going for, I suppose. And the most ironic thing is, Hasan would be the first person stolen from, because he's a rich multimillionaire living in Hollywood. He has no idea what he's advocating for. He thinks that, okay, they'll actually spare me, right? Because I'm the one who ushered in the communism. What a useful idiot. And I don't know how regarded you have to be like, oh yeah, let's steal from the rich people. They're not human anyways, right? So just take all their shit by force, break the law, while he somehow brainwashes himself into thinking that he isn't actually rich just by being a multimillionaire. Brother, you're the person they're talking about. They're going to steal from you. It's funny because in the Louvre, the art is available to the public. Once stolen, it is in private hands. Weird for the communists to be pushing for this, but no, a museum is super capitalist. Oh my god, it's too expensive for regular people to afford, therefore it should be completely shut down, obviously. Says Hasan in his $5,000 outfit, buying Gucci bags and supercars. When you're thinking about all the snacks you can steal. You know, I will say that she's actually the most sane person on this podcast somehow. Or maybe she was just presenting the questions that other people were asking, or like playing devil's advocate, but it does seem that she agrees with Hasan. Right, so Asmongold responded, and he particularly talks about the food banks, considering he has some personal experience because he actually grew up broke.
I'm pro stealing from big corporations because, you know, they steal quite a bit more from their own workers.
If everybody stole from the corporations, then they wouldn't work. Like, how could you be pro stealing? Like, if people stole from the, like, then they wouldn't be. How could you run a business if people keep stealing the stuff out of the business?
Right. Exactly.
I don't understand. Like, how is that? It's not sustainable. Like, what is it? It's an insane statement. Yeah, you can't do that. I mean, I don't. Like, what? And what happens when it gets factored into the bottom line is then that the costs get offset back onto the consumer.
Yep, meaning you're paying
this
more.
Is so only a retard could have this opinion. No normal person could have this, and you have to be like an advanced retard to think like this. And you have to keep in mind this is very important because Hasan, as we all know, grew up as a rich boy. He did. He grew up like a rich boy, and he was, riding around on horses, playing polo. Oh, look at me. I'm a good boy with my special hat. You don't understand the way that poor people get money and they eat food. Let me explain it to you. There are food banks for people who don't have the income and the resources available that they can simply get that food for free, where it's accounted for, it's subsidized, and it's paid for either by charities, churches, the state, or a combination. Yep. So when you choose to go inside of a Whole Foods and you steal something from a Whole Foods, you are foregoing the existing structural socialist design of food banks, of other forms of supplemental assistance that allow people to get food whenever they're poor. It is the most selfish, self-centered, stupid, short-sighted, and unnecessary thing to ever do.
Yep.
You should never do this.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. You are basically undermining the very thing that you should be advocating for, right? The food banks. But the problem is, Hasan Piker has never had an intelligent thought in his head. In his mind, everything is so black and white. Rich person equals bad, right? And that somehow does not include him. He is just exempt from everything. Essentially, what he wants is Batman. All rich people to get robbed and then to redistribute that wealth. Which sounds good on paper until you realize that, hey, you have the potential to become rich as well if you're actually successful in your career. And second off, ignoring the disastrous consequences that's going to have for anybody to create anything. Why would you ever work hard if your money is just going to be taken away from you, right? And this is why, when people start getting taxed more than 50%, you really start getting fucking pissed off. And I feel like it's really getting to the point where Hasan is actually doing so much harm, right? He knows he has this cult fan base that is going to listen to every single word that he ever says, right? So when he's out here justifying robbery, justifying murder, justifying all these heinous things, breaking the law, it's not going to end well. And the thing is, Hasan is going to be sitting in his mansion. Meanwhile, one of his fans is going to listen to him. They're going to actually try to steal. They're going to get caught. They're going to get jailed. And then Hasan walks free. And I guess if you're in New York, you walk free too, because God knows what the fuck is going on there. But you're always the one taking the risk. You're the one in danger, right? So then Asmon talks about how in many places now, they're like locking up the grocery store items. Like if there's milk in the fridge, they're locking that up because people are just stealing it or whatever, right?
This is why food stores close down. This is why a Dunkin' Donuts shuts down in the middle of Chicago because they keep getting robbed, or a CVS stops, like selling things in a New York or something, or some other fucking high crime area in the LA area. Like, it's tremendously detrimental. There are a lot of people that do steal for necessity, but when you're stealing makeup, you're not doing it for necessity. When you're stealing potato chips, you're not doing it for necessity. When you're stealing shoes or hairspray, this isn't necessity. I went to buy underwear at Walmart, and she made me tell her which underwear I wanted. She wouldn't let me touch it. And then I said I wanted to check out, and she hand carried the underwear from the the underwear section to the fucking cashier, and they gave it to the cashier. It was like, I mean, I'm in my 30s now, so like it wasn't embarrassing, but like if I was like 16, I would have been mortified by this, right? And so it's wild, exactly. And so why? Because they don't want people to steal it, because people keep stealing it. This is what this panel is it's three upper middle class or upper class liberals that are basically circle jerking each other for stealing lemons from Wendy's
they probably
or
order all their
Walmart or
shit
Whole
online.
Foods. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic.
Oh, absolutely. It is extremely out of touch, right? And Hasan would have you believe that, oh, they stole the 10 latest Pokemon boxes, right? Wow, they stole 50 iPhones from the Apple store. It must be their necessities, right? It's the bare necessities they need to survive. And I've seen some of those videos of like items locked up at stores. And that is so funny and insane. I legitimately thought it was like a skit or not real, but apparently that's a real thing that happens in some places in America. I mean, I can't imagine having like such a low trust society that you actually have to resort to locking up basic groceries or general items, right? Dude, I once left my headphones at the gym for like an entire week and it was completely untouched, right? And every day I wake up and I'm grateful to be living in a place where, it's a high trust society. People are great. They don't actually steal. And you can sort of rest easy with your items. And, in general, you don't have to constantly be on guard. It's a pretty safe place as well. So I really feel for some of you guys living in places with Hasan Piker fans who are essentially just criminals at this point. And I've been saying it all this time. The consequences of Hasan Piker will be studied for generations, right? The Legendary series will literally become a digital textbook. You think I'm kidding, but you're witnessing history in the making. Hasan is no longer a niche internet micro celebrity, right? But rather a representative of the decay of modern society as a whole. He represents everything wrong in this world, right? Justifying criminal activity. And we will fight the evils of Diddy Piker, no matter how long it takes. So then Asman talks about how you need to be punishing criminals more harshly. And he's obviously exaggerating here.
I think we need to treat these thieves more harshly. I do. I think I want to see people that are stealing lemons. I want to see them get tackled, thrown to the ground, handcuffed, hog-tied, and dragged into the police vehicle. I am so sick of these animals ruining my society. We used to have a country. We did. We used to have a country, and now we have a bunch of fat liberal. And by the way, any of those women on the panel would not even dream of stealing. They would be mortified at the idea of it. They would be terrified of this. They're all LARPing so they can virtue signal to their retard audience. None of the people doing this, Hasan's not stealing things. He's not even going to the store. He's probably having it delivered. So it's not even a possibility that it's happening in the first place. So these people are basically, they're writing checks that you have to cash. Now it's you that's the one that's affected.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hasan is not doing the stealing himself. He's telling you to do it, right? Because he doesn't need to steal, right? He's just going to order fucking delivery from the store, all right? I know because I do it too. That's what unemployed people do, all right? Sometimes you need to make the Legendary series and you don't have time to go to the store, all right? No, but honestly, this guy's such a piece of shit because he wants all his fans to take all the risk, right? Do the revolution. Go, my minions. Do all the shit. Loot the stores. Rob the rich people. Assassinate my targets. And I, Hasan Piker, will come to power. But yeah, about being harsher on crime. Listen, I'm not saying that it works, but based on my experience, it kind of works, all right? Because then you become sort of terrified to commit any crimes, as it should be. And then there's less crime in general because you realize that, hey, if I actually commit this petty theft, I'm going to prison for fucking 5 years, right? Even if it's overly harsh or something, it's a deterrent for anybody else to do it, right? People responded, "Hey, fellow poors, I too understand the struggle. My parents did have a maid for a day, and I almost had to do the dishes. I'm like you. I almost couldn't shuck my horse. My horse almost couldn't carry my friggin'-sized booty." The people that pay for theft are the people who don't steal. This guy pretending to be Robin Hood while living in his mansion. This guy needs to be deplatformed. This is the worst part, bro. He's the biggest LARPer. Remember, he's pro petty theft until the petty theft directly affects him in a negative way. Bro, you know what would make Hasan crash out? If somebody stole a shock collar. Because he's going to be like, no, I need a shock collar. No, I can't get through the day without bzzz. If California were a person, I'm almost a middle-aged man with millions to my name, and I somehow possess the economic literacy of a 7th grader. Okay, that's pretty optimistic, I'd say. Or like a preschooler. Pro-crime. You can't make this shit up. You don't have to, because he's admitting it. You present this to Hasan Piker fans, and somehow they'll justify it. Him explicitly advocating to break the law. The more I learn about people, the more I like my dog. This is definitely the opposite for Hasan. The more he hates his dog, the more he shocks his dog. They do realize you're stealing from the employees, right? You steal enough and the employees lose their jobs. No, we cannot do any level of advanced thinking, right? It's only the basic level of thinking. All right, this packet of chips is owned by this corporation. By stealing it, I'm stealing from the rich people. Nobody else is affected, of course. Right, so then Hasan tries to justify murder and assassinations again. In the New York Times interview, Hasan says that many understand Luigi Mangione killing the United Healthcare CEO because he himself was guilty of social murder.
Engels wrote about the concept of social murder. And Brian Thompson, as the United Healthcare CEO, was engaging in a tremendous amount of social murder, the systematized forms of violence, the structural violence of poverty, the for-profit paywalled system of healthcare in this country, and the consequences of that.
Which is funny that he talks about this because he probably has that kind of same system of healthcare that he pays for on a regular basis.
Are tremendous amounts of pain, tremendous amounts of violence, tremendous amounts of deaths. And that was a fascinating story for me because Americans are very draconian about crime and punishment. They're very black and white on this issue. And yet, because of the pervasive pain that the private healthcare system had created for the average American, I saw so many people immediately understand why this death had taken place.
Right. So here's the problem with this, right? You can hate the CEO guy a lot. You can hate everything he stands for. Hate his very existence. Personally, you guys know, if you're OGs to the channel, I hate the greedy ass corporations who charge an insane amount of money for medications that people desperately need. I think the whole exploitative healthcare industry is the most disgusting evil shit to ever exist. Bottom of the barrel shit, right? But at the same time, you cannot justify vigilante action and murder, because where does that road lead? It is the most slippery slope there is, because it starts with that guy and then it goes to somebody else. You can make an infinite amount of justifications. Oh, well, I'm sure the CEO of Coca-Cola has somewhat led to the death of millions by selling everybody horrible soda, poisoning your body, making you unhealthy. Some guy realizes his mom drank 40 cans of Coke a day and she died. He gets mad at the Coke CEO and tries to assassinate him for making an addictive beverage, right? He goes and commits murder. Hasan stands there and goes, well, I get it. I totally understand. Props to you. And spoiler alert, you can literally do this to dozens and hundreds of companies, hundreds of their CEOs. You can even do this to hundreds of people. Oh, I don't like what this guy says. He's inspiring a bunch of shit, and therefore X thing is justified. And this is why sane and rational people, every time, including me, will denounce any sort of violence or threats against anyone, even our enemies, because that's not how society should run. It is never okay. Make no mistake, this guy would slit your throat if ever in position of complete control, and your views wouldn't align with his.
Yes.
Nope, he wouldn't do it himself. He'll have one of his minions do it. He would happily watch people murder following his trash commie logic. This was what moral bankruptcy looks like. This dude straight up just promoted assassinations in their face.
Yep.
By the way, hilarious. Social murder, horrible. Real murder, no, that's just fine. That's just fine, actually. Moving on to Hasan going after Asmongold and XQC for ruining the streaming community. Basically, a little while back, they all used to be friends, believe it or not, and actually get along. And apparently somebody ruined it. Definitely not Hasan, of course. So everyone's responding. Asmon responds to Hasan, placing the blame on him and others, contributing to the fractured streamer environment. Says it started with Piker and Pokimane.
There used to be some kind of a sense of community, right?
The reason why the community died is because Hasan and a number of other people wanted to virtue signal about how bad gambling was. And that was actually if you go back and you look at the timeline for all of this, the actual fracture began with gambling. Like, I was also against the gambling too, but I didn't do so from like this moral high ground, I'm better than you perspective. That's why I maintained relationships with all these people. So what really happened is that, at a certain point, people started taking gambling deals. This was like 2020, 2021, 2022, especially 2022. And prior to that, Hasan's right that there was a lot more understanding, camaraderie, etc. But I think what happened is that COVID made everybody really, really popular. And it basically 2x'd Twitch's popularity. And it turned a lot of streamers into like celebrities, kind of. I'm not like Brad Pitt or something like that, but it made streamers and like content creators much more known. Then people saw that level of fame, popularity, money, and notoriety, and they said, well, I want a slice of the pie. I want a piece of that. As soon as it stopped going up, when the well runs dry, people began to eat each other. And that's exactly what happened, is that the moment that people like XQC, Train, and other people took gambling sponsorships, there were people like Hasan, Pokimane, me to a lesser extent, other people also, that virtue signaled so hard and farmed so much hate against the gambling sponsorships. And that's actually where the transition happened, where basically you were trying to tell somebody else what they're allowed to do on their stream